Story 07. I asked my boss for a rubber in a New York meeting.
It was my second week at a new job in New York. I had just moved from London. My English was perfect, obviously. I had spoken it my whole life. Or so I thought. I was sitting in a meeting, my manager, 2 senior colleagues, and me. We were reviewing a printed document. There was a small error in the text, a pencil mark that needed to be removed. I looked at my pencil case. Empty. I needed something to remove the mark. I turned to my manager, a polite, professional American man in his mid-40s, and I said clearly and confidently, "Excuse me, do you have a rubber?" The room stopped. My manager looked at me. Both colleagues looked at me. Nobody moved. My manager opened his mouth, closed it, then said very carefully, "I'm sorry. Could you repeat that?" I repeated it, clearly, more slowly this time. "Do you have a rubber?" For my pencil mark. One colleague looked at the ceiling, the other looked at the table. My manager cleared his throat and said, "Do you mean an eraser?" I blinked. "Yes, an eraser, of course." He opened his desk drawer and handed me a small pink eraser without a word. I used it. I corrected my document. I said thank you. And I spent the rest of the meeting wondering why the room was so quiet. Repeat this sentence with me. The same word can mean different things in different countries. Good. Let's begin. Part 1. Context. My name is Claire. I grew up in Manchester, England. I studied communications at university. I had a good job in London. And then, at the age of 27, I was offered a position at a company in New York. A bigger role, more money, an adventure. I was excited. I was not worried about language. I speak English. Americans speak English. Same language. No problem. This is a very common belief. And it is mostly true. But British English and American English, while they share the same grammar and most of the same vocabulary, are not identical. There are hundreds of small differences. Words that mean one thing in England and something completely different in America. These are sometimes called false friends, but between British and American English, they are more like cousins who grew apart. They started the same. They changed in different directions. And now, if you are not careful, they can embarrass you in a New York meeting. Repeat. British English and American English are not identical. Good. I had no idea this was going to be a problem. I had watched American films. I had American friends. I thought I knew the differences. A rubber was not on my list. In England, a rubber is what you use to remove pencil marks from paper. Every child has one in their pencil case. Every office has a box of them. It is a completely ordinary word. In the United States, the word rubber means something completely different. It is not office equipment. And I asked my manager for one, in a meeting, in front of colleagues, in my second week. Part 2. The mistake. Let me explain both meanings clearly. In British English, a rubber is a small tool, usually pink or white, used to remove pencil marks from paper. It is made of a soft material. In American English, this object is called an eraser. Repeat. In British English, rubber, as eraser. In American English, the word rubber, when used alone, primarily refers to a condom. This is informal language, but it is very widely understood. It is not a textbook word, but it is extremely common in everyday American speech. Repeat. In American English, rubber has a completely different meaning. So when Claire turned to her manager and asked, politely and professionally, "Do you have a rubber?" she was asking him, in American English, if he had a condom. In a meeting, on a Tuesday afternoon. This is what we call a false friend across varieties of English. A false friend in language is a word that looks or sounds the same in 2 different contexts, but means something completely different. You think you are safe because you know the word, but you are not safe because the word belongs to a different world. Repeat. A false friend looks safe but means something different. Good. The danger of British and American English false friends is that they are invisible to someone who has only learned one variety. Claire did not know she needed to check this word. It had never caused a problem in England. Part 3. The correct word. So, what should Claire have said? In America, the correct word is always eraser. That is the only word. There is no other option, no alternative, no casual version, just eraser. Repeat. In America, always say eraser. Good. Now, let's look at more British words that mean something different in America, so you are never surprised. Jumper. In British English, a warm knitted top you wear in winter, a sweater. In American English, a jumper is a type of sleeveless dress. American word for the British jumper, sweater or pullover. Repeat. In America, say sweater, not jumper. Biscuit. In British English, a sweet, crunchy baked snack, a cookie. In American English, a biscuit is a soft, fluffy, savoury bread roll, eaten with gravy for breakfast. American word for the British biscuit, cookie. Repeat. In America, say cookie, not biscuit. Chips. In British English, hot, fried potato strips, French fries. In American English, chips are cold, thin, crispy potato slices in a bag, crisps. American word for British chips, fries or French fries. American word for British crisps, chips. Repeat. In America, chips are crisps. Fries are chips. Pants. In British English, underwear, specifically men's underwear. In American English, trousers, the outer clothing on your legs. If you say, I like your pants in American English, it is a compliment about trousers. In British English, it is a very strange thing to say to a colleague. Repeat. In America, pants means trousers. If this lesson is helping you, subscribe now, because next week we have another real story, another real mistake, and 10 new phrases you will remember for the rest of your life. Part 4. Why this happens. Varieties of English. Today's story teaches us something that many English learners do not know when they start learning. English is not one language. It is a family of languages, all called English, that share the same grammar and most of the same vocabulary, but differ in specific words, phrases, pronunciation, and cultural meanings. The main varieties are British English. Spoken in the United Kingdom. This is what Claire learned growing up. American English. Spoken in the United States and Canada. This is what Claire's New York colleagues spoke. Australian English. Spoken in Australia and New Zealand. Has its own unique vocabulary and expressions. Indian English. Spoken in India. Influenced by British English but with its own patterns. Repeat. English has many varieties. Good. When you learn English, whether from a textbook, from a teacher, from films, or from songs, you are learning one specific variety, and each variety has words that are different from the others. This does not mean you are learning the wrong English. All varieties are correct. All varieties are real English. But it does mean that when you move between countries or when you speak to people from different backgrounds, you must be aware that some words travel well and some words do not. Words that travel well. Hello, thank you, sorry, please, good morning. Words that do not always travel. Rubber, biscuit, pants, chips, jumper. Repeat. Some words travel well. Some words do not. When in doubt, describe the object instead of naming it. The small thing you use to remove pencil marks is longer than rubber or eraser, but it will be understood in every country, in every office, by everyone. Repeat. When in doubt, describe the object. Part 5. Office and stationery vocabulary. Now let's learn the real English words for everyday office objects, in both British and American English. This vocabulary is useful in any workplace anywhere in the world. Eraser, American. Rubber, British. The small tool used to remove pencil marks. In any professional context, use eraser. It is understood everywhere. Repeat. Could I borrow an eraser, please? Stapler. The tool used to join papers together with small metal staples. Same word in both British and American English. Repeat. Have you seen the stapler? Sticky note, post-it note. A small piece of paper with a sticky back, used for reminders. Repeat. I left you a sticky note on your desk. Highlighter. A brightly coloured pen used to mark important text. Repeat. Could I borrow your highlighter? Folder. A cardboard or plastic holder for papers and documents. Repeat. Put the report in the blue folder. Whiteboard. A large white surface used for writing in meetings, with a special marker that can be wiped off. Repeat. I'll write it on the whiteboard. Marker, dry erase marker. The pen used to write on a whiteboard. Repeat. The marker has run out. Stationery. All the small items used for writing and organising. Pens, pencils, erasers, staplers, folders. Note. Stationery, with an E, junk writing materials. Stationery, with an A. Not moving, different spelling, different meaning. Repeat. The stationery cupboard is down the hall. Printer, photocopier. The printer makes new documents from digital files. The photocopier makes copies of existing paper documents. In many modern offices, they are the same machine. Repeat. The printer is out of paper. Part 6. Story resolution. After the meeting, Claire's manager knocked on her door. She braced herself. Another quiet, careful conversation. But he was smiling. He sat down across from her and said, I have to ask, are you British? She nodded. From Manchester? He laughed, a full, genuine laugh. I figured. We had a British colleague a few years ago. He asked someone in the lift if they had a fag. He shook his head. I should have warned you. A fag, Claire knew, is the British word for a cigarette. In American English, it is a very different and potentially offensive word. Her manager wrote 2 words on a sticky note and placed it on her desk. Rubber. Eraser. Then, underneath, in smaller letters, Welcome to America. She kept that sticky note for 3 years. Repeat. Different country, different words, same language. Vocabulary review. Eraser. The American English word for the tool that removes pencil marks. Always use this in American English. Repeat. Could I borrow an eraser? Rubber. The British English word for an eraser. In American English, has a completely different meaning. Do not use in American professional settings. Repeat. In British English, rubber. In American English, eraser. False friend. A word that looks or sounds safe but means something completely different in another variety or language. Repeat. Rubber is a false friend between British and American English. Variety of English. A specific form of English used in a particular country or region. British, American, Australian. All are correct varieties. Repeat. There are many varieties of English. When in doubt, describe the object. If you are not sure of the correct word, describe what the object does. Always understood. Repeat. When in doubt, describe the object. Stationery. All the small writing and organising tools in an office, pens, erasers, staplers, folders. Repeat. The stationery is in the top drawer. Whiteboard. The large white writing surface in meeting rooms. Repeat. I'll write it on the whiteboard. Highlighter. A brightly coloured pen for marking important text. Repeat. Could I borrow your highlighter? Jumper, British. Charka sweater, American. A warm knitted top. Repeat. In America, say sweater. Chips, British. Fries, American. Crisps, British. Chips, American. The Great Potato Confusion. Repeat. In America, fries, not chips. Chips, not crisps. Closing. Claire's story is not really about one embarrassing word. It is about something bigger. It is about the moment when you realize that even if you speak English perfectly, there is always more to learn. Always another layer. Always a word that means something different somewhere. This is not a weakness. This is what makes language fascinating. British English and American English grew on the same tree. Over hundreds of years, they grew in different directions. And now some of their branches do not touch. Rubber, biscuit, jumper, pants, chips. These are not mistakes. They are the differences between two rich, living, breathing varieties of the same language. Learn them, enjoy them, and always, always check before you ask your American manager for a rubber. Repeat one final time. There is always more to learn. And that is a wonderful thing. Excellent. Thank you for learning with me through all 7 stories. Real mistakes, real moments, real English. Subscribe, because next Wednesday we begin a brand new series of real stories, real phrases, and real English you will use every day. See you then.